Senator Angela Hill, good morning, ma'am. How are you? It's good to have you.
Good morning.
Boy, how's the weather from the homestead?
Well, down in South Mississippi, it's not rough yet. It's clear and no wind.
That wind's coming through a little bit later on, but it's going to get 3-dog night cold in the next week.
Yes.
But it's wintertime, so that's good news. Well, the committee assignments came out yesterday. Your thoughts?
Well, I guess kind of the most surprising thing, Paul, is after 12 years and being the author of the third grade gate bill and the Mississippi Fairness Act that bans boys from competing in girls' sports, I was removed from the Education Committee.
Why was that?
I have no idea.
Just your feelings about that?
Well, I don't know. Maybe I'm too conservative for the Education Committee. That's kind of my first thought. I don't know.
So we're not talking about chair or vice chair. You're just not even on the committee.
Oh, no, I'm not even on the committee anymore.
So Dennis DeBar from Leakesville is going to be the chair. Well, he was last year, was he not? Yeah.
Yes.
And vice chair is Democrat David Blunt.
Right. It looks to me like Chris Johnson and I are two members that were on there last year that are no longer on there.
Any other surprises to you as far as some of the committee assignments?
Not really. I mean, it is what it is.
I was just checking. What are you? You are chair of? Are you chair of anything? Did you get a chair on any position?
I was chair of county affairs. I'm now chair of Constitution.
And exactly what are your duties there?
Well, anything that pertains to the Constitution.
Yeah, and vice chairman is Derek Simmons out of Greenville. So I haven't even had a chance to look over these things. The one I didn't see a heck of a lot of changes, but as you said, it is what it is, and that will be with us for 4 years. There are a multitude of things to talk about one way or the other. There are a lot of people who've gotten bills, but they haven't been put in the hopper and assigned to the committees. I guess they'll do that over the weekend, and we'll start off Monday with some assignments going to the particular committees. You have anything that you're ready to drop in the hopper?
Yes, I am looking strongly at more parental Bill of Rights when it comes to medical treatment. Back some months ago, back in the spring, that we had parents that got locked out of their kids' My Charts at UMMC Medical Center. When a kid turned 12, UMMC decided that the child was going to have to give the parent permission to see their lab results or their test results under My Chart. That became public, and then they changed the policy to 14. So as far as I know, the policy is still 14. And last time I checked, the 14-year-old was not at the age of consent for medical treatment. It's 18 in the state of Mississippi, but yet we still have policies on the books at state institutions that say that a child has to give a parent permission at 14 to look at their medical My Chart. So I will have a bill to address that. And also, we have a huge problem in the schools with the we have a statute that hooks Mississippi schools to the American Counselors Association. It says that we have to abide 80% by the teachings and the code of ethics of the American Counselors Association. And I have had a bill for a couple of years to decouple Mississippi schools from the American Counselors Association because they're about as Marxist and woke as the American Library Association. And our state library commission still is in tandem with the American Library Association. Now, ask me why that other states have decoupled themselves from these Marxist, woke, they push the trans agenda, they push all this sexuality into schools at a young age. They want to hide things from the parents. It's all in their training modules. Explain to me why Mississippi still has not decoupled themselves from these two organizations. People think that Mississippi is a red state, and in some instances it is, but we fail to do the things that the public would have us to do, such as the most important things that deal with our schools and our medical institutions. So those are two things that I'm going to push, because last time I checked, a parent is still in charge in this state, at least until a kid is 18 years old. But we have policies like this American Counselors Association link in our statutes, and we have these arbitrary policies at the medical institutions that basically say, parents, you come second. Your kid calls the shots when they're 14 or 12.
That bill's got to come out. Where does that come out of education?
Well, the counselor's bill was in education last year, and it died. It never saw the light of day. I did not have this bill. Well, I did have a Parents' Bill of Rights last year that did deal with some medical. It went to education. It also died last year. So I don't know where they'll go this year, but I can assure you I'm not going to be quiet about it, because parents do not need to have these institutions trying to usurp their parental authority. Yeah. And, when I tell people what's going on in this state, their mouths fly open and they're like, what? That's crazy. When I show other legislators the peer investigations that I've done on these agencies, they're like, you're kidding me. I'm like, no, here it is in black and white. If you'd spend a little time trying to figure out what's going on in this state, we might get more things done.
A lot of these kind of sink in with federal rules and regulations, and it seems like some people sometimes are a little too lazy or too shy to combat those things. Let's just let a sleeping dog lie, and that's how they take roots in some cases.
Exactly. Well, the Biden administration, of course, is pushing these policies through the school, but this medical policy at UMC, the investigation that was done basically said that it was not due to any federal mandate or requirement, that it was just an arbitrary policy they created.
Well, first of all, I've never heard you or never thought that you were quiet on anything, so I'm looking forward to hearing your response on this as it moves through the process. Let's also talk about the vaccines, and I know that was a contention with you, and a little bit. I don't know where we're going to go with this religious exemption, because we had one of the best, if not the best, vaccination program in the country. And apparently, through the courts, they've screwed that up.
Well, you might think they screwed it up, but if you were at the Capitol like me and you spoke to the many, many mothers that bring vaccine-injured children to the Capitol, and you see the videos of these children before the vaccines and after the vaccines, you might not think that the court screwed it up so badly.
Well, are we talking about smallpox or polio and things such as that?
No, we're talking about things like MMR and DTaP, the HPV vaccine, things like that. Now, we took about maybe 18, 20 vaccines whenever you and I were coming up, and you look at the list now, these kids take 6 times what we took. But
as far as a religious exemption, you okay with that one? And to have the religious...
I'm 100% okay with the First Amendment. I'm 100% okay with a religious exemption.
So, hang on. I'll ask you this when we come back. You have a nurse, he or she, serving in a pediatric ward at a children's hospital, and they are not vaccinated, never have been vaccinated. Are you okay with them taking care of your child?
I absolutely am okay with them taking care of my child.
All right. Back with more about school choice, or some modicum of school choice, to come out of the Education Committee in the Senate under Dennis DeBar. Are you there?
Yes. Can you hear me?
Yes. Did you hear my question?
Yes. I said a small chance, very small chance, in my opinion.
Yeah. Your thoughts about that, would that be something that you would back as far as certainly in the areas that needed that requested school choice?
Absolutely. I think there's certain ways to do school choice bills. I think that a tax credit is the best way to do it, because if a parent wants to send their child to a private school and they don't send their kids to a public school, they're already saving the state almost $7,000 in MAEP funds. Plus, they're paying the local taxes if they own any property. So a tax credit in the form of that MAEP savings to a parent is only fair, in my opinion.
Angela, do you and my guess is Angela Hill, who's the District 40 Mississippi State Senator. Do you feel like there's more of an agreement in the House and Senate this year to maybe take a look at that formula, that MAEP formula?
I don't know. There could be. One thing that would be better in the MAEP formula than average daily attendance would be average daily membership, because the schools do have to have money to function, and if they do those head counts on days that have a flu epidemic or something like that, and there's a lot of kids out, and I know that happened in my local school this year, a lot of kids that are out at the same time when flu goes around, I don't think it makes sense to arbitrarily pick a month to count heads. I think it ought to be an average across the whole year.
Well, I do too. Well, here's the other thing. The last time we looked at this, and it's been several years ago, and I'm not sure if you look at some of the need to standardize how they count these kids, because now this is the way it was. In every school district, there was a different way. If a kid came in and said, "Hi, Miss Johns, I'm here," and then he left, he's counted. If he came in and spent half a day there, then he was counted. If he had an excused absence, he was counted. There were so many different ways that to me, the data was useless.
Well, there was an attempt made to try to unify that data, and it went a little bit far. And if a kid left an hour, they were not counted. So you have to be judicious in how you do count that. And honestly, after we changed that bill that we had that required X amount of attendance, I can't remember exactly where it is right now. But it's not as bad as what it was, to where it was all over.
I hope not, because if we can't have like minds in the House and Senate come up to some common sense on this one, we're screwed. Because just most of us in this audience would say, "Look, half a day." That sounds at the minimum. If a kid is in school for half their classes, then you count it. If not, don't.
I'm okay with that. I'm okay with half a day. Kids have orthodontist appointments. Kids have, same type things parents have, and those places are only open during the week.
Shouldn't take that long to get together on something like that.
And look, on that religious exemption that we were talking about, that letter that I sent you was from Holmes Community College, and it was with regard to a COVID vaccine, saying that they would accept no religious exemptions for a COVID vaccine. Yeah. They're probably going to be in court if they continue with that policy.
I agree with you. I think it's going to wind up in court one way or the other, but people might not like the outcome on that one. Real quick, I hate to interrupt you on this one, or just to wrap it up here, but any final thoughts before we give a weather break here?
Mississippi expects us to do conservative things. They expect us to do common sense conservative things, like make sure that schools don't have to call kids the pronoun of their choice this week, next week, and the next week. And we need to decouple ourselves from entities like the American Library Association and the American School Counselors Association, and we need to help the schools push back. Schools have reached out to me, and they want some statutory help to push back on the crazy policies that the Biden administration is trying to force down their throat with regard to all this gender expansiveness and keeping ourselves in line with the American Library Association and with the American School Counselors Association is not a step in that direction.
I agree. We have to be ever vigilant.
The schools need our support so that they don't have to recognize furries and these expansive gender ideas that kids decide they're one thing one week and another the next week. And you know what? It's not fair to my grandchild in a public school to see a teacher have to call a kid 50 different things based on the whims of the
I agree.
week.
Senator Hill, also, Tim in Tupelo says there are LGBT scholarship programs through the Secretary of State's office that you need to look into it. I'm not sure about that, but fodder for more conversation later. Thank you, ma'am. Appreciate it very, very much. Senator Hill, talk